I am, absolutely. Good afternoon, fellas. Listen, this is not the be-all, end-all. This is not going to solidify some championship or anything like that. But it's a culture builder. It's a roster builder. It's a talent builder. There's no bad thing about this. You can look at the draft picks and you can lament that all you want to. But in the end, what were you going to use them on? You got a guy that's been in the league for years. He's good for 19 to 20 a game. He's good for about 37% shooting from three, even though one season he shot 42% from three. Okay, he's an elite defender. He's had experience deep into the playoffs in his career as well, and most importantly, he's reliable. He's a guy that played all 82 games last year. The season when they played 83 games, when he had 82 games in the play, and he played all 83 games that year. He doesn't miss many games. 3 seasons in his short career thus far, he's played every single game in that season. So he's reliable. He's dependable. He's a character guy. He can ball. He can defend. He fits right into the Tom Thibodeau system. He's good for 35 to 42 minutes a night. I don't think there's a downside to this. And plus, obviously, the chemistry, camaraderie, and what have you, wanting to go to the New York Knicks, forcing the Brooklyn Nets to make a deal, the Nets organization to make a deal with the New York Knicks for the first time since 1983. What's there to say? I couldn't be happier. I ain't going to lie to you. Still needing more, but I couldn't be happier.
Now, Stephen, do you think that the same way we've seen this elevated version of the other Nova kids that have come here, do you think we will see a better version of Bridges than we've ever seen?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know if there needs to be. I mean, Jalen Brunson is clearly the star. We see Dante DiVincenzo. We always know he could shoot, and we've seen more of that, albeit periodically as opposed to consistently. Josh Hart is an energizer bunny and a rough rider. Come off the bench for you if you need him to, can start if you need him to, etc. And then you've got this guy. And so I think that when you look at his game, he's certainly going to get an opportunity to get his number of shots. His efficiency will determine how much better he looks and how much better his numbers are. But really, when you think about what Tom Thibodeau loves, if you are a guy who is addicted to defending, you're going to get minutes for Tom Thibodeau. And anything that you bring offensively is just an added plus. Well, he's got an offensive game to his repertoire, but he's really, really known for his defense. So you'll see a lot of him. I think you'll see him giving you about 40 minutes a night. And I think that, he'll benefit from it exponentially. I think that he'll average at least 20 a game.
Does this come at the expense of Isaiah Hartenstein?
Possibly. So be it. I don't want to lose Hartenstein. I'm not saying that in any way. But if you're telling me that I get to keep OG Anunoby and obviously I got Mikal Bridges and the loss is Hartenstein, then I'm going to have to live with that. Because you want to keep those two. You definitely want to do everything you can to sign OG Anunoby. You do not want him to depart from Philadelphia. You don't want him to depart from Oklahoma City or another franchise like that. You definitely want to keep OG Anunoby. But OG Anunoby and Bridges should be, and are the priority over Hartenstein, and I think that's the way it should be.
All right, so you were reporting earlier that Phoenix is done in the Kevin Durant business, so it looks like he could be traded. If you were the Knicks and you had a choice to make this deal and get a Durant or get a Bridges, which way would you have leaned?
Oh, my God, that's a difficult question because Mikal Bridges is a lot of things. He ain't no damn Kevin Durant. Let's get that out of the way. We're talking about a superstar scorer, but I have to tell you, despite that, here's what I would tell you the best way to answer that question. I would have used the opportunity of knowing that I could get Kevin Durant to say to the Nets, you ain't getting more than 3 first-round picks, okay, rather than 5. If I could have saved myself 2 first-round picks, I probably would have taken Kevin Durant before I gave up 5 first-round picks.
Right.
But if I had to give up just 3 first-round picks, then I would have gone the route of Bridges. He's about 8 years younger. Obviously, he defends. And most importantly, he fits into the culture. Kevin Durant doesn't fit into the culture. Kevin Durant doesn't fit into anybody's culture these days. He's known as a relatively a quiet superstar who wants to do nothing but play basketball and go home and keep to himself. So when you have that as your reputation, those are the kind of things that doesn't necessarily serve to ingratiate itself with the franchise and position you to ultimately be the leader that you need to be. That's the issue with Kevin Durant. Nothing about his game. He's good for 28 a night. He's a superstar in this game, one of the greatest offensive players this game has ever seen. And I'm certainly not implying that Mikal Bridges equates to him. But in terms of the Knicks culture, what they're building, and how it's not just about this year or next year, but it's about the long haul. To have Brunson with Hart and DiVincenzo and now Bridges, that's an incredible nucleus to have. As far as I'm concerned, if you're Tom Thibodeau, you should be ecstatic, but also cautiously ecstatic, because you need to do a great, great job. Because guess what? A guy by the name of Jay Wright could come and take your job any day of the week. Why? Because he coached at Villanova. All 4 guys. And they love him. So that's something that you got to be mindful of. But I think Tom Thibodeau is going to do a great job, and I think these players are tailor-made for him.
Everyone always says after a championship, we could see 3 or 4 more of these. And I may be a bit biased as a Celtics fan, but I look at that core in Boston, and once they get the Tatum deal done, you have this core of Tatum, Brown, and Holiday locked up for 4 or 5 years. They really do seem like they should dominate the East for a while. Do you expect that to be the case, and do you think the Knicks really could be a move away from legitimately competing with this Celtics team?
I think the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics are definitely the favorites. They're definitely the favorites. There's no doubt about that. The flip side to it, however, is that I think that when you're an elite defensive team, you can cause a lot of problems. And you can't look at somebody as being a prohibitive favorite over the long haul. Things can happen when you amp up your defense and you tweak a player here or there. You look at the New York Knicks and how feisty they are. They're in the conference finals this year if it were not for the plethora of injuries. I mean, Julius Randle's down. Mitchell Robinson is down. OG Anunoby goes down. Josh Hart gets injured. And then Jalen Brunson breaks his wrist in the last Game 7. So there's a lot of that going on, and we understand that. All those dudes are healthy. Going up against the Boston Celtics, I still favor the Boston Celtics. But I think a series is a nail-biter.
All right, if you had a choice between this trade or getting Paul George, who's 34, or maybe Donovan Mitchell, doesn't seem like that's a fit now, would you still go with this trade or consider the others?
I would go with this trade because I think Bridges can give you that. You know, he can give you something offensively, but he really elevates things defensively. I'm a Donovan Mitchell fan. I have been from day one. I wish the New York Knicks had gotten him. I think he's a bona fide star in this league and a viable number 1 option, scoring option. But in the same breath, when we saw what we saw during these playoffs with the New York Knicks, I can't negate or escape the fact that they look damn good playing together. And what they can do together for the future is something that's worthy of fantasizing over.
Stephen A., I know you've got some other things to do. We appreciate you taking some time with us.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. Y'all take care.
You got it.